And we're on. Welcome, Shaun.
Hi, it's good to be here.
Good to have you. How you been?
You know, I've been all right recently. Past year's been a little rough, but
Okay.
that happens. Life happens.
It does. So what's been going on?
I'm a father of two, and got divorced recently, so that kind of sucks. But we're making it happen.
Yeah.
We're just making life happen, and that's what matters.
It's been a minute since we've seen each other.
It has a few years at least since like a run-in.
Yeah.
And since we've talked, it's been at least 6.
Yeah, for sure. Last time I saw you was probably at McDonald's. I was probably picking Alexander up.
Probably. Yep. Used to talk to you and your dad.
Yep. Yeah, that story. It's been a minute. It's still funny to me when I think about it, how we met and how like everything kind of just like cascaded afterwards. For anyone that doesn't know, do you want to tell the story?
How we met?
Yeah.
Well, I used to be a patron of public transportation, and I read every single Star Wars book imaginable, and I saw you reading one day as well, and we started discussing, I think.
Just chatting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then we got wicked into the Star Wars discussion, and that was great. It made the bus ride, hour-long bus ride, mind you.
Yeah.
Actually enjoyable.
Yeah.
So,
And here we are.
And now here we are. What was that, like 7-8 years ago now?
Shoot, man, it might have been. So what's been up with you recently? What are you doing for work now?
Oh, I actually I do McDonald's one night a week still, but I keep that because my heart's always there for some reason. But I do carpentry nowadays.
Oh, excellent.
Yep. Work on a lot of the old houses in the area, and fix other people's mistakes. It's great.
I can't believe they use this trim.
So sometimes you wonder why people do things the way that they did. And there's no rhyme or reason, it seems.
Yeah, it's just like, well, this seemed like a good idea at the time.
You know what? It got them paid. That's what they cared about.
Yeah. What's your take on the way Star Wars has been going last? I guess it would be 8 years, 9 years.
All right, so I'm actually very disappointed that they made the expanded universe non-canon.
Yeah, that was a
big
punch.
As a man who named his daughter Jaina after Jaina Solo, yes, I'm sorely hurt.
I've been hurt. I've been wounded.
Yes. Now people think that she's named after a World of Warcraft character.
Oh,
no,
okay.
It's Star Wars.
Yeah, no, I feel that.
But episode 7 was good. Okay, I thought it was actually solid. It was a good throwback.
Yeah.
It gave a segue into this new universe where they're introducing new characters, and they had that twist at the end. It's no spoilers. It doesn't matter. It's been years. but when Han Solo died, like that was a big thing.
Yeah.
That was good. But then like episode 8, man, like it was just
something off about it.
Something off about it. It just they're trying to throw it back too much. They're not going with a new story. It's all like it's what Hollywood's doing nowadays anyways.
Yeah.
Like you look at all the new movies coming out. There's no original stories. 1 out of every 10. It's all rehashes, remakes, and sequels.
Yeah, and adaptations of books.
Yeah, and all they're trying to do is like throw it back to what worked back then, instead of actually putting effort into writing a new story, a good story.
Yeah.
They have lots of like stories that could happen. They could do the Thrawn series. They could do they could do the Yuzong Vong War. They could do all these things and make them canon. Please, Disney, do
For
it.
the love of God.
For the love of all that is holy. but episode 8 just kind of threw me off. I liked it when I first watched it.
Yeah.
All right, and then I watched it again, and I got to thinking. My fanboyness was really putting a veil over my actual like critique, and I just have to say it sucked. I did not like it. Rogue One was good. I liked Rogue One. I liked Solo. I did. It didn't do as well in the box office, which sucked, but I thought it was pretty solid. I can. Yes, Harrison Ford is Han Solo, but other people can play the character as well. It's fine.
I would say of all my critiques of the movie, what was his name? Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah,
Alden Ehrenreich was not one of them. He was.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything
it was
stupendous, but yeah. But Rogue One was actually probably my favorite out of the new ones.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That one was a solid story, solid setup into 4. Like, boom.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's been...
It's been a downward trend for Star Wars recently, and I'm afraid that that's gonna like cast like bad things over like the next few. Like they already canceled 2 movies that were in the making, something like that. Like
possibly.
I thought I heard that.
I think they
somewhere, but
pushed things back, and some of the interstitial movies aren't necessarily happening.
Yeah, which sucks. Like there's so many characters that they could do anything with.
Right.
Ahsoka Tano. Do it.
Yeah.
Where did she go? Please.
We need answers.
Yeah, we need answers.
Well, I mean, we're getting season 7. Of the Clone
Wars. So. Okay. I didn't hear that.
Really?
Actually. That's awesome. I'm excited for that.
They're doing a full season to kind of flesh things out.
Like I said, man, when they made the expanded universe non-canon, my heart.
Yeah. It hurts.
It hurts. I have all this knowledge in my head. I read every single novel that they had. And now it doesn't exist, and I'm like, well, what do I do with this knowledge?
Yeah.
Come on.
Like I'm a library of obsolete information.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I actually just recently finished reading in full the New Jedi Order and the Darkness trilogy because I hadn't read them before. Like I'd caught because at the library, you have like a couple of them here, a couple of them there, and the New Jedi Order is like a 19-book trilogy or series rather. And so at one point I was just like, screw it. And so I went to like a used book website, and they have them for like $3 each, or whatever. Awesome. So I'm like, spent like $70 on books. No big deal. And just been working my way through the stack.
Nice.
So yeah, it's been cool to go back because I bought. Not only did I do that, I bought the Young Jedi Knight series as well.
Awesome.
Which was great. As a child, definitely, one of my major touchstones for the series. So I read those, and then I reread the Thrawn trilogy and duology, and then
it's just so good. Going back is awesome. Did you ever hear what happened to all my Star Wars books?
I heard you gave some of them at least to my brother.
I gave most of them to your brother. I gave him this was like a 5-foot-long tote.
Yeah,
just packed full of paperback books and hardcovers, and some of them were signed.
Ooh,
I know. Yeah, he might not know that. He actually messaged me a little while ago. It's real funny. He's like, hey, I found $13 in this book, and like that's something that I used to do. I used to like put money in books and put them back on my shelf, and then when I reread these books, it's like, I got paid for this.
I got money.
Like awesome. And so he messaged me. He's like, and he's such a good guy. So he's like,
he's very kind.
Yeah, he's like, dude, do you want this back? This is yours. And I was like, how about we just do coffee sometime and you buy it? Okay, how about that? It's fine. I did not know that $13 existed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alexander actually listens to the podcast, so you can. Anyway.
Well, I love you, Alex.
He does. I know. Yeah, I know. It's been crazy, man. So you mentioned earlier that you've had kind of a crazy life. Where does that start?
It starts from birth.
Yeah.
No. So the way that I always tell people like my story, and forgive me, mother, I will start with this. My mother is clean and sober now, from what she said. I have since gotten back in contact with her. So we'll start with that, and she's doing her best. I love you, Mom. Now. Back then, it was a different story. So she was an addict, and I always said one of my like earliest memories was besides Nintendo playing was actually walking down the stairs, getting like at this house and getting to get Kool-Aid in the middle of the night, and I see all of her friends surrounding a table and doing something.
Yeah,
I don't know what it was at the time, but since then, like they yelled at me, "Get F back upstairs." I don't know if this is a family-friendly podcast. I apologize.
Little column A, little column B.
All right,
depends on the guest.
It might be a little bit of column B this time, but yeah, they were doing blow on the table down there while I came down to get Kool-Aid, and that has just been like the cornerstone, it seems, of my childhood. Unfortunately, my mother and father were only together brief times. I always said the best time of my childhood was actually the 2 to 3 years. I can't remember exactly how long that she actually lived at my dad's house.
Mm-hmm.
And, unfortunately she couldn't get off the drugs. So he said, you need to either quit drugs or you need to leave. And she, in the middle of the night, took us away. And, and I didn't know where he was, or I was a kid. I was probably 11 at that point. I had no idea what was going on. And she started filling my head with some bad ideas about what my dad was trying to do. And, it went from there.
And there was no question of your dad having custody of you guys?
So he was actually not on my birth certificate. So that made it a problem.
That complicates.
So I'll continue the story, and we'll double back to that.
Absolutely.
Because it's there's a timeline, Gordon.
I'll try not to interrupt.
No, it's okay. So after we went, after my mom took us from my dad's house, she got an apartment at in a bad part of Omaha. I'm trying to clean up my language here. I apologize.
I appreciate your journey and personal growth.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
That's probably why I swear so much. Not in front of my kids. Don't worry.
No, don't swear in front of kids.
No, I actually do a really good job about that. Everybody else doesn't seem to, but that's fine. They know what not to say. But anyway, so we're living at this house. It's roach infested, and the neighbors are not very good neighbors, and it's in a bad part of Omaha. And she ends up getting a boyfriend, and she moved my little brother and little sister over with him, and I'm in this house alone.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was real weird because I don't know why she left me there for that long.
Mm-hmm.
It was months and months and months. I got up, I would go to school when I could catch the bus.
Yeah.
If I didn't wake up, I just stayed inside and hid. I did the dishes. I tried to keep the house clean as much as possible. When the food wasn't there, I would go to the store and I would find a way to acquire food, we'll say. And I'm not proud of that, but I had to survive.
Yeah, survival is key.
Most of my meals came from school. Thank God for free lunch. But let's fund that shit for everybody.
Yeah.
I'm as conservative as they come, but kids need to eat, man.
Yeah,
for
sure.
I'm sorry, but that's an important part of education. But she actually ended up bringing me to the boyfriend's house as well, and it was just a run-down place. The electricity would get shut off, and this guy would go and turn it on himself. The water would get shut off because he wouldn't pay, and he had the tool to go down and turn the city water back on himself. Cable, no problem. We got this little box here that we don't know where he got it, but it would unscramble any channel back when they had that type of cable.
All right.
It was an interesting lifestyle that man led, and unfortunately the house was just not kid friendly. They were doing bad things there. They were doing lots of drugs, copious amounts. In fact, I would find needles up in the bathroom. I would find the burnt spoon.
Yeah.
I would find light bulbs with the bottom taken off, because that's you can smoke the meth out of there. Apparently, I don't know that. I never did it, but it's like little things like that all added up, and then so I was in this bad place. I was still going to a school that was very out of this home's range. So I would actually have to walk to my friend Dustin's house. Dustin, Richard, and Kenny all lived pretty far away, so I would walk there in the morning. Some of the week I'd stay at their house if I could, and that way I didn't have to walk the however many miles it was back, down the highway. It was bad. And I would catch the bus from them and go to school, and eventually they were wondering, well, why is Shaun here all the time? Their parents wondered why Shaun was there all the time, wondering where my mom was, wondering all this stuff, and I kind of kept, tight-lipped because I was embarrassed. I didn't, I was a kid. I was, 12, turning 13 at the time, because, and for that whole year, I was very dirty, very just unhealthy, very just not enjoying life, I'll say, and, I actually went home one day, and I walked from Dustin and Kenny's house, and I walked home, and my mom wasn't there. Okay, not a big deal. Maybe she's out partying with her friends, whatever. She didn't come home that night. Okay, spent the night somewhere. That's not unheard of. Okay, couple days later, she's still not home.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm still getting my little brother and sister ready for school at this point and, getting myself to school. And she doesn't come home. I end up, no idea where she is. And I come home to that house. I shouldn't call it home. It was never home.
Yeah.
But I came to that house, and I remember seeing that man sitting on the couch, like intently staring at the door, like with a baseball bat in his lap. Like, what are you gonna do? Okay, I'm gonna go to my room. Wake up the next morning, he's still sitting. That image is like emblazoned in my brain.
Right.
It's crazy. Like, so I ended up going to Kenny and Dustin's house, and I ended up telling them, dude, I don't know where my mom is. And thank God one of them told their parents, because within a few days, all three of us were picked up from our schools and brought into the system. I remember going into the cop car, like thinking I was in trouble, like what the heck's happening. And they did their best to try to placate me. So you're not in trouble. We just need to find out what's going on at home, man. And they brought us to a group home, and in that group home, it was not very good. They couldn't find my mom. I learned that she actually ran away because she was trying to quit the addiction and, needed a whole new change of scenery. She ended up moving to Lincoln when we lived in Omaha, so she was, an hour away.
Mm-hmm.
Had no idea. But yeah, we ended up going into the foster care system, jumping around from home to home, to home to home to home.
I've heard that about the foster system.
It's rough, man. Like, it affects me still. 30. I'm almost 32. I'll be 32 this month, and I will tell you what, I have a hole in me that doesn't seem to be filled by anything. I have insecurities that I know that they stem from that, right? From that abandonment, and it's my logical brain says one thing, but then it's like, oh, I know Gordon likes me. Gordon invited me over to his house to do this podcast, but like that insecurity in the back of my brain, oh man, he doesn't really like you. You suck. Don't do that. He doesn't really want to be your friend. And I've worked many years to not be like that. In a way, I'm happy with the way that things turned out, because I feel like I'm a decent person. I feel like I know that I have a good group around me now.
Yeah.
And I know that I have people who actually love me, and and I know that you love me. Like, as weird as that sounds, to maybe some people don't realize, but I'm a very loving person. I think that stems from that hole in me that I just need to fill with love. Because I could have easily gone down that same path that my mom did, that my brothers did, that my sisters did, that basically my entire family besides me and my little sister had some form of addiction or alcoholism.
Yeah.
And I could have filled it with that, but I didn't, and I thank God every day for that, man. Like, foster care system sucked, but we made it through. There were a couple good homes, and a bunch of really bad ones.
Yeah.
Like I remember going to this one woman's home. I'm not gonna name any names because I don't want to. She was older at that point. I'm sure she's either dead or won't ever listen to a podcast. Probably has never heard the word podcast. But anyways, I remember going there, and we'd have to go there some weekends to give our this foster home a rest. So we'd go here, and she would like measure out cereal like with a measuring cup. Only give you so much. Boom, that's your cereal. You measure out the milk. That's your milk. Like, you get half a piece of sausage. You can have the other half tomorrow. It was obvious that she was doing it for the money, because I don't know if you know this, but foster parents get paid a certain amount per kid that they take in.
Okay.
Well, if you're not spending that money on the kid, then where does it go?
Right.
You don't give it back. So you could tell the people who are in it for the money, and you could tell the people who are in it for the kids. And I have the good one that we were in, Miss O'Rain, I'll name her. She's awesome. She was an older black lady as well, and just you could tell that she loved us too. And it was, it was hard being there because it was a whole different culture. Me growing up in the very white neighborhoods, and then going to the North Omaha side, it's very different. Like a whole different town. It's crazy. And but she did her best to try to welcome us into her home, and It was good. It was good. We ended up moving away from her, unfortunately, because my sister, my oldest sister, became a foster parent for us. So, yay, all was well in the world, right? We ended up moving in there. There were quite a few kids there. I think at one point there were 10 kids in there.
That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot of kids for one home. And it was all well and good until, well, my sister also was an addict. So at that point I was 17 and I was done. I was done with the system. I was done with addiction. I was done with dealing with life the way that they told me that I had to. So I ended up, leaving. And I didn't look back. I stayed on friends' couches when I could. I stayed on the roof of McDonald's when I had to. I would stay in the bushes on the side of the road if I had to. It didn't matter. I survived. I got up. I went to school every day. I didn't drop out. I would never drop out. I had that goal in mind. And then my next goal was get an apartment when I could. And then my next goal was, save up money. Didn't attain all my goals, but I graduated. I got my apartment. I did it myself. And that was important to me.
Yeah.
I told very few friends what I was going through in school. Couple people knew, but most people had no idea. I actually got back in contact with a few of my friends recently, and like some of them are like mind blown because they had no idea.
Yeah.
They had no. I mean, all they saw was the fat, smelly kid, who was funny. Well, they didn't know that I was fat because I would gorge myself because I didn't know where my next meal would be. I was smelly because I literally didn't have a shower for weeks. Sometimes, and I was I was funny because I had to be.
Yeah.
If I wasn't funny, I was sad.
Yeah.
And we didn't want sad, Gordon.
Sad Shaun, no good.
No, and obvious defense mechanism. Being sad is obviously a part of life that you need to be.
Certainly.
But at that time, I don't think I would have survived if I dwelled in that.
Right.
I've since dealt with a lot, and I've gone to therapy sessions and tried to work through some of the past things. They tried to put me through therapy back then. I made jokes and said I was okay the whole time. It's great.
Yeah.
Just that therapist didn't do it for me, but that was a court order one, so he still had to go. So abandonment sucks. Don't abandon your kids.
Don't do that shit.
Don't do it. So I graduated. I had my job. I got an apartment. Thanks to one of my good friends, Brian Huntsman. He has passed away since, but may he rest in peace. I love that man. I love that man till the day I die. And even beyond that. But he actually would drive me around and look for places with me. Like it was really important for him to know that he knew I had this goal.
Yeah.
So he helped facilitate that. It's awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then let's see. After that, I moved up here. I gave up everything and moved up here for a girl.
Well, as you do.
Oh yeah. I think it was a necessary part in life as well. Like obviously, things didn't work out between her and I. But I had my son up here with her, and I would never abandon her. I would never leave because I knew what that would do to her. So I stayed, and I had some rough years, and I had some up years too. But I tried to be the best dad I could be for him, and I have a daughter now as well, and I try to be the best dad for her that I can. And let him know that I love him like nobody else. So.
Yeah, we've had a couple of prospective parents on the show already. Friend Dave, friend Jordan, and they're not entirely certain what to expect. What did you discover about yourself when you became a parent?
I discovered that lack of sleep doesn't affect your love.
Okay. All right.
Everybody's that's the meme of with kids you'll never sleep again. Well, that's actually not true. Especially if you're in a relationship, you guys can share that burden.
Yeah.
But I learned that there are people out there that will love me no matter what. Even when I make mistakes, I learned that I can be loved.
Yeah.
So that's a personal thing.
Yeah.
As for them, they'll discover a lot about themselves too. Their strengths, their weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe one of the parents will be very opposed to changing the bottom side, but we'll deal with the throw up side. It's like you got to find your strengths, you got to find your weaknesses, and fill each other's gaps if you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
Didn't mean it like that.
Well,
but it came out like that. My bad.
Cover each other's.
Yeah. I mean, the most important part is being there for the kid, and no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And if they want to, when they're older, when they want to do something, feed into that. Don't, my daughter's been doing gymnastics since she was 2.
Mm.
And it's like I fed into that, even though some months I can't afford it.
Right.
Some months it's very hard to get her there, to pay for everything. Oh, we need a new show, Leo. Oh, this gym show's coming up. That's an extra $100. It's like, wow, where do I come up with it? Well, we make it.
Yeah.
Somehow, thankfully, her mother and I work together well, even though we're separated, and that's all right.
It's still a business partnership,
yeah. It's obviously more personal.
Yeah.
But I get what you mean. As long as you work towards the greater good of the kid, that's all that matters.
Right.
Don't try to push them into anything, because they're just going to resent it.
Right.
But also don't let them run all over you. Like that. That's what I notice a lot of younger parents do.
Mm-hmm.
They don't set the boundaries for the kids, and then 4 years later they wonder why their kid is running around in Walmart screaming and throwing things. Well, it's because you never set the boundaries here.
Right. And I remember hearing somewhere that kids actually want boundaries, and the reason why they're pitching fits is because they're trying to get you to set them. So like structure is really important.
It is. Structure is super important, and it could be other things as well. Like if you're always on your phone, they notice that.
Yeah.
If you're playing with them but not really paying attention, they notice that. Maybe not when they're 1, maybe not when they're 2, but 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11.
Yeah.
Kids notice that. So you actually have to pay attention to them. The smartphones are the best invention in the world, man.
Yeah.
But they're also one of the worst.
For sure.
Because they take so much of your attention, and it's addictive.
Yeah.
I find myself needing to just put it down. I felt it vibrate on this table right now, and throwing it on the floor, because I want to look at that. What was that? But I'm not going to, because some things are more important in life.
It's true. So that's a Vinny's Gym shirt you got there?
It is. I rep it proudly. I was going studiously for a long time. I have been lazy, we will say.
Okay.
I was doing very well in the weightlifting department, and but things happened. Costs needed to go down. So, but Vince. Okay, so I don't know if you know my exact relationship with Vince and the Podcasts in general, but that's my family. I moved up here. I had nobody. It was very hard to, not go back to Omaha, but I didn't. And eventually I got, I met Zach, and he pulled me into the family. It was obviously a friendship at first, but it was instant click. Like, I was never a religious person growing up. I hated religion. Why would a God who loves everybody put me through things that he did?
Right.
Put children through the things that they did, the things that I saw.
Right.
It's crazy.
That's the kicker.
But I mean, that does stem from human choice, unfortunately. But with them, it wasn't a religion thing. I knew that they were believers. First thing that Zach invited me to was church. I told him, sure, yeah, I'll totally go to Easter church with you. Yeah, totally. Well, I stood him up that first week. He called my phone a couple times, and I didn't answer. Right. Oops, sorry, Zach. I don't know if he knows this part of the story, actually. Yeah. But nope, I stood him up because I couldn't. I wasn't there, And but the next week he said, hey, because we worked together. He's like, hey, going to church again this Sunday. No obligation, obviously, but go to my parents' house for lunch afterwards if you want. And I looked at him, I said, you had me at lunch. Let's do this. I never turn down a free meal.
Sure.
Never. It's one of my biggest weaknesses. Food, as you can probably tell.
Well, it happens.
It does. But I ended up going over to their house, and we clicked instantly, and it was amazing. And they never pushed any of the Bible or any of the Jesus stuff on me.
Yeah.
They never did. But they showed me love, and they showed me that they're real people too. Like they weren't just putting on a show for Sunday that I saw out in the Midwest. Because I went to church out there a couple times when I was forced to. Miss O'Reen was a very Southern Baptist lady, and so funny story actually. Let's go back to Miss O'Reen real quick. I was 13, 14 years old, something like that. So I was an angsty teenager, we'll say, and one of the very first weekends that we were there, she's like, "Hey, going to church tomorrow morning. You guys are coming too." All right, Miss O'Reen, I'll be ready. Don't you worry. Go upstairs, and I happen to have acquired black nail polish, lipstick, and eyeliner, and the whole 9 yards. Put on my nice Marilyn Manson t-shirt that I'm pretty sure I stole from a friend. I still have that to this day, mind you.
All right.
Because I have attachment issues. So I hold on to things. But I go downstairs, and she looks at me, she's like, "Boy, what the hell are you wearing?" And it was a very tense moment, but let's just say that I went to church without everything on. I think she let me keep the nail polish as long as I wore, a longer sweater and could put my hands inside. But it was a funny story. But I was never into the religion aspect. I couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I started hanging out with them every Sunday, I saw that there was love out there.
Yeah.
And ended up becoming a believer at one point, and that was an interesting experience as well.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I'd have that capacity. I was actually pretty militant atheist. I would make fun of the kids who believed in school, and I'm horrible for that now, but it is what it is. We all made fun of everybody. It just happens.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I raised my hand to when they asked in church who wants to open their heart to Jesus, and I actually I did it, and didn't feel any different. It wasn't until like a month later ish that I actually had an experience that kind of locked in my faith and went, oh, maybe there's more to this than I think.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Zach for the past month about prayer, because I didn't want to ever be selfish about prayer. I didn't even know if it was going to work, but not going to pray for stuff that I don't need. You know what I mean? And that was his message. Like, dude, like, just pray for what you need, and God will provide with whatever He feels you need.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, all right, maybe I'll give that prayer thing a shot one day. Well, it wasn't until I was walking home from Kmart one day, because mind you, I was riding the bus a lot, but I was walking home from Kmart one day with all the essentials in life. I had the shampoo, I had some deodorant and socks, and packed underwear. I was walking home with the bags, and this girl drives by. I knew her from McDonald's. She came through the drive-thru. Cute girl.
Mm-hmm.
But she stops. "Hey, Shaun, where are you heading?" "I'm heading home, about a mile down."
Mm-hmm.
Not a big deal. She's like, "Do you want to ride?" "Well, ma'am, of course I do." Being a single man, of course I would look a ride from you, pretty lady. But so I
don't turn down free meals or rides.
I don't turn down free rides either. You are right. But we ended up having a good conversation in the car, and we were saying our goodbyes outside my apartment. I'm like, "Hey, hopefully I see you through the drive-thru," because I'm a slick person, right?
Yeah.
Probably didn't seem as cool as I thought it was, but it worked in my eyes.
Yeah.
So I get upstairs, and I've got my 2 bags, and I'm unpacking, and I have my socks, I have my deodorant, I have my shampoo, and well, did not have my underwear in those bags. So I'm looking through my kitchen, looked down my hallway, out into the common area in this apartment building, down the stairs, into the street. Oof, no pack of extra large underwear. Extra large, mind you. That's embarrassing. So I was standing in the middle of the street. She was already gone, and I was like, well, Lord, if you could just take this embarrassment away from me. Like, let me not care about this. How about that? I feel like that's a good thing to pray for. I was like, and I said, in Jesus' name, amen. I walk upstairs, and in the middle of my kitchen, right where I walked 30 times trying to find this pack of underwear, was that pack of underwear right there. And it's insane to me that, he can show himself through, something so dumb as a pack of underwear.
Yeah.
It's like, wow. All right. Well, that kind of locked me in there. I've been a fairly firm believer ever since. Everybody has their doubts, and as you should. You should question everything. I found that prayer is a very important part, but I don't do it as often as I should. What's funny was I was sitting here thinking about like what to talk to you about, and I was sitting this morning, and my sister popped into my mind, and I was like, Lindsay, one of the podcasts, one of the podcasts, and she popped into my mind, and so I actually messaged her and said, hey, do you need prayer for anything? And like in that moment, she actually did, and I was like, wow, like so prayed for that what she needed, and she asked me, and I was like, wow, like it's just crazy how like things can come to your brain, and in that moment, that timing is perfect. I have another prayer story if you wanted to hear.
No,
it's one of the it's actually what that one made me believe, but this one like cemented me down. You know what I mean? My then fiance was pregnant with my daughter, and she was home alone. Her dad and two brothers were up on a mountain. I was at work with no car, mind you. I was at work. Her mom was elsewhere as well, and she started, bleeding, and that's not good during pregnancy. If you ever heard of that, parents, if you do that, go to the hospital. But so she ends up calling an ambulance and rushing to the hospital, and we get a phone call from her dad up on a mountain. Dude, you need to go to the hospital now. Shit. How am I supposed to do that? So I ended up, being able to have somebody give me a ride from McDonald's, thank God. And I ended up getting to the hospital, and I walk into the room, and my her mom looks at me and said, they're trying to find a heartbeat. They can't find a heartbeat. She hasn't moved in a long time, and she's on the bed, with the little scanner. What's it called? Oh my God! Ultrasound. Thank you. I lost the word for like half a second. I feel so dumb. But
happens. In podcasts.
Oh my God! Yeah. So she had the ultrasound there, and Jana was on the screen and wasn't moving, and I just instant tears, and first thought was, Jesus, I need my daughter. Please give me my daughter. And as soon as that happened, kick happened, heartbeat was found, and I was like, holy I said a different word, but we'll keep that. Yeah. We'll keep that internal. You can guess what that is. and that rocked me, man. And I've never questioned like the totality of faith, but I questioned my part in it since. Yeah, you know what I mean. So because divorce kind of rocked me. That was hard. Kind of went down into a hard time there, but back up on the horse.
Yeah, for sure. Going back to the Paquettes for a second.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Lindsay was actually the first one I met, believe it or not. And I met her when I was 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
So, very short story.
No.
My first day at youth group, they were doing like it's like summer youth group, so it's not like full on youth group or whatever.
Okay.
And so I show up, and I'm being shown around by somebody, I don't remember who. And I was in the kitchen at True Memorial, the old Baptist church that my family used to go to. And Lindsay walks in, and and I'm like knee high to a grasshopper, right? Because I'm only 12. Big changes in the past years. Anyway, so
let's say you're tall, Zach.
She walks in, all tall and shit, and she's like, "You're cute. I like you." And then just like that was it.
Oh, hard to flutter, right? Yeah, she is just such a gorgeous woman.
Yeah.
Oh, like I have. She is actually like. I've had the highest respect for her since the day I met her too, because like she's so smart and like you know it. Yeah. She's so smart. She's smart. She's pretty. She's articulate. She's like the full package. And like getting to know her over the years has been such a joy.
Yeah.
Because I'm in the family, so it's like I see it from inside now, and it's like wow. She's an amazing person. She runs her own business now. She quit her job. She is doing her own like photography and marketing thing, and she's amazing. She's such an inspiration.
And then through Alex, of course, I met Vince. And I was just helping Andrew Lapointe.
I know Andrew Lapointe. Yeah.
Okay. Actually, no, that's another funny story. We'll get back to that in a minute. No, I was helping Andrew reside his house. And Vince was one of the people that he relied on for or consulted with.
On
important matters.
I remember when he was doing that. That's funny that you're involved with that because he vinyl sided, right? If I recall, because he was asking, don't put that on too tight, don't nail it in too tight, don't pull it up. It's got to have some flex.
Yeah.
Otherwise it melts.
Yeah. It was a process.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I do that. All the time. I don't want to say on the regular because I'm not a sider, but I do have to take it off, fix the rut behind, and then put it back on. Right? That sucks.
Yeah. But it was a trip. Right. So, one of the first times I met Jeffrey and his brother, I was at Greg Bolstridge's house, and we were just talking, and I think he mentioned you. And I'm like, and this was shortly after we met.
Oh, wow.
And I'm just like, wait a second. I know that guy. And he's like, how do you know that guy? I'm like, I met him on a bus. And he's like, what? And apparently we knew, we just had like a bunch of connections. And like, we were really, like, we started off with you and then we're just listing all these people. And it was really entertaining.
It is funny how that works. Like, one of my greatest gifts in life is actually like, people remember me. I don't understand it personally. I think I'm not an exciting person at all, but apparently I have a personality that really,
you're very distinct.
Yeah, very distinct. I remember I was in drive-thru at McDonald's. I was working, and I was 18 at the time. So because I was graduated already, and I was an adult now. And I remember this girl that I knew in second grade came through the drive-thru. And I looked at her and I said, I think I know you. And she's like, yeah, you're Shaun Kane. And I was like, oh, you're Megan. And she's like, yeah. Oh, yeah, I would recognize you in a heartbeat. Like, and I hadn't seen her since second grade.
And that's crazy. So you were, where were you? You were here.
No. It was out in Nebraska. I moved up here.
That would have been wild.
I moved up here the day I turned 20.
Okay.
Yep. I know, right? Exactly 20 years in one spot, and then I ruined the streak. Just kidding, I didn't ruin it.
I mean, if you got to ruin it, might as well be at 20.
Yeah, exactly.
Time for some change. Early on.
but yeah, like, people seem to remember me, and like, anytime I go to Omaha, like, it seems I can't go anywhere without like people like, oh, it's Shaun. Shaun's in town.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy, and it gives me a sense of like self-worth, and I love that. It also gives me a slight ego problem, which I try to check, but it doesn't always work. But my ex-wife and I, anytime we would go like back to visit, we'd go to Walmart for the smallest thing, and it'd be a 3-hour ordeal, and she would get annoyed because she wasn't, she's not a people person,
sure,
like I am. And that's understandable, to each their own. But like, man, it would be like 15 people in Walmart, like, would be like, Shaun Kane, wow, you're back in town. Wow, we should go do something. I'm like, I don't have that much time in my life.
And you're like the 15th person that's, trying to set something up for me.
Yeah. It's like, it's hard. It's like, I'm coming back to visit my family. Obviously, you guys are important to me too, because I love everybody pretty much as soon as I meet them, because I want to be loved just like I love. So it's hard for me, to not make time for the people. It's just, you can't do it with that many people.
Yeah, you gotta prioritize.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's interesting. Was it ever to the point where she's just like, you're staying in the car?
No. She never tried to control me. That would never fly, because I'd be like, all right, well, I'm gonna go inside anyways. Yeah. Maybe even with the car. Like, I'm following the rules, but my own way.
Yeah.
No. It was an inconvenience, but a good one. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's nice. It's nice.
And it's kind of, I imagine it served you well.
Yes.
In a lot of ways.
Having that distinction kept me afloat for many years. There would be people, they would trust me instantly. Mm-hmm. And like that would get me a place to stay for at least a couple of nights even, and like, I never understood it, but like, I remember one of my friends, I won't name her, but like, I met her on the bus. Mm-hmm. It was up here, and we had a good conversation for that first hour. She looks at me, she's like, hey, like, why don't you come over and we can hang out, play some video games? All right, cool. Yeah, so we play video games like all night. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right, I got to go home. I got to sleep. Like, I got to work, tomorrow at, whatever time. And she's like, okay, like, hey, not to sound weird, but like, you seem like a good, trustworthy dude. Do you want like a key to my place? We can hang out whenever. And I'm like, what? Like, okay.
I bet you just hear that tone of voice.
No, she doesn't. That's the thing. She was actually not a trusting person. That's the beauty of that.
That's wild.
But like, and it's not just like people like that. Like, I had a landlord at one point, and he gave me like before I even put down a deposit, he's like, hey, we met at a coffee shop or something, and he showed me around the place, and I was like, my wife needs to see the place before I can say anything. He's like, when is she available? I'm like, not till like Saturday. Mm. Well, he was out of town, and before I even put a deposit or anything down, he's like, here's the key, man. Like, show it to her, tell me what you think. If she doesn't like it, leave the key right here. I'm like, you're gonna let a person in here that you don't, like, you barely know my name.
You're being a bad landlord.
No. He was an okay landlord.
That's not. You're not doing your job. Yeah, giving people keys when they haven't paid their rent.
Yeah. It was crazy. But that kind of thing happened to me all the time. Like, I don't get it personally. Yeah. But I mean, I guess I'm a nice guy, and I put on I'm very personable. Like, we can sit here and have a conversation. Like, we haven't seen each other in years, and the first thing I do is hug you. Yeah. Like it's just how it's how I am. It's how I've always been.
Has it ever backfired on you?
Not that I know of. I mean, maybe somebody hates me because they trust me, and maybe I broke that trust inadvertently. Ooh. Like, I can't say that it, for sure, but never overtly. It's never. It does pull me into a lot of different directions. Okay. Sometimes I do feel obligated to people. Then and like sometimes that does put strain over here when they want me over here, and it's like.
Do you have trouble setting boundaries?
Oh, I have massive trouble setting boundaries.
going back to the abandonment.
Yeah, exactly. I have, I just don't have any boundaries. That's the problem. like zero. Like I'm a big hugger. I'm a big I'm a touchy feely kind of guy, and like not in like I never want to be that in like a creepy way, but like the shoulder pat and the all that. And sometimes people might misconstrue. So maybe it could backfire in that way. You know what I mean? Especially I was getting older and working at McDonald's still. It there are teenagers that work there. I really had to like put that gate on.
Set your own boundaries.
I had to set a boundary there because like even though I know it's innocuous, it could be misconstrued, and I would never want that. Sure.
You don't want them feeling uncomfortable at work.
I don't want them feeling uncomfortable. I don't want other people to misconstrue anything like that. It's like, that's not me. Yeah. So, so I guess that would be the only way that it would backfire.
And so, how long did it take you to become a manager at McDonald's?
Oh, I was a manager the day I turned 18. Like I was doing the job before that.
Okay, gotcha.
It was one of those things like when I was 16, 17, 18, like I didn't have anything else. I put my all into band at school, and I put my all into work, and that was that's what I had. So
they're just like, well, you're legal now.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, all right, now I can legally give you keys. Okay,
all right, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, so you were in band?
Yeah. I played the tuba mostly, but I dabbled in pretty much every instrument, mostly the brass on the brass side, little in the woodwinds, but I was never good at the woodwinds. Those take a little more je ne sais quoi, we'll say.
A little finesse.
Yeah. Well, or practice. A little more practice. A little more practice. Yeah. So I played tuba for many years. Band was one of the best experiences of my teenage years. It really helped me in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
It kept me. There was actual physicalness to it because it was we had the marching aspect. Like my high school band was large, and so we would span the whole football field with our marching band and in formations and stuff. And carrying a tuba around is very heavy, and we would do parades. Yeah, we would do parades every morning. Like during parade season, we would do our mile loop through the neighborhood, and that's hard work. Yeah. So it kept me more physically fit. I was never physically fit. I was always kind of fat, but
kept you conditioned.
Yeah. Well, yeah, conditioned is a good word. Yes. And some of the best people I ever knew were in band, and that my high school band teacher, he helped me a lot. I didn't always make the best decisions when I was a teenager. Surprise. But he actually protected me a lot from myself.
Okay.
One specific story, I was a hooligan and happened to find a closet that was open for some reason that happened to have the locks to all the doors in the school. It's like, so what did I do? I took them and wore one as a necklace. It was great. It was during the John Cena, like what he was doing. That okay. So it wasn't necessarily out of place, but I was walking down the hallway, and my band director saw it. And he's like, "That's a cool chain, Shaun. Like, where'd you get it?" And I was like, "Oh, I just got it, man. It's just a cool chain. You want to wear it?" And he did want to wear it, so I gave him this ill-gotten good, and he put it around his neck and ended up going down to the office with it at one point because he had to copy something. And apparently the principal talked to him about hey, where did you get that? And he said, "Oh, I found it in the hallway. I figured it would be needed to go somewhere." And he looked at me. He's like, "Shaun, you need to put these back, and don't ever let me wear stolen things again, please." I died. I love him so much. I contacted him, a few times over the years to thank him for all the things that he did. Like, I made other mistakes, and I know he really we took a trip to New York City, and it cost a lot of money. And I know I was short, but I'm pretty sure he or somebody put money in for me. Yeah. Because I knew that I did not make my goal. Yeah. But I was still in New York City when we went. So, a lot. I'm thankful for a lot of things, and he told me that he saw a lot of himself as a teenager in me, and knew that I could go really wrong. Yeah. I don't think he knew exactly about my whole past, but maybe it was some of the teachers knew that I was a foster kid, and that's why they were so nice to me.
I mean, figure if you have such a kind of an instant rapport with people that you've only just met, you would assume that would translate to teachers and other authority figures as well.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I love that I have some of my old teachers on Facebook because I still she was geometry teacher. She was awesome. Her name's Carrie. She's amazing. But she apparently still in her household she has kids and stuff, and apparently still talks about how funny I am. Sometimes it's brought up at the table because I was a fat kid, and I happened to make a joke in her class one day, and I was like, I must have been down or something, but she's like, what's wrong, Shaun? And I was like, I'm fighting a battle Carrie, I'm fighting a battle, and it's really hard. She's like, what's the matter? I'm like, suffering from anorexia. I'm winning, and I know that it's horrible to make fun of other people's plights, but I'm sorry I was a teenager. I don't make that joke anymore. but apparently that like still makes her dinner time table chuckle. So
that's pretty good. Makes for a good story anyway.
It does. Obviously, if somebody's suffering from anorexia, please get help.
Yeah.
We love you too.
We do. Yeah. No, it's so. I'm gonna let you drink your tea because you've been going after it, and I keep asking questions.
I have been. It's okay. I'm gonna take a second. I'm gonna drink this.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too loudly.
No, go for it. Now the idea of mentors is really interesting to me. It's not something that I think I recognize like in the process of it. Like there are different people in my life, but like looking back, I was like, it occurs to me that that could have been something like if I had paid more attention, I could have fostered something there. I don't know. It's interesting, like hearing about other people's mentors and
yeah, I had a bunch. I also find myself in that position now as an older man, turning 32. Like there are people in my life besides my kids even that look up to me in a specific way, and it's the best feeling in the world. Like it's amazing, you know. It's like, wow, these people actually enjoy my presence and think that I'm a good enough person that they should emulate.
Mm-hmm.
I actually always thought that Alex like looked up to me like
that. No,
like,
for sure, 100%.
Did he ever tell you about his interview at McDonald's?
He probably did. Yeah. Go for it.
I'll tell this story real quick. It was so funny because like I did not like doing interviews. Mm-hmm. It was not my favorite part of the job. But I get handed an application. Hey, Shaun, do this interview. Okay. Now, don't even look at the application. I'm a bad interviewer. But I sit down with this, tall, lanky, real skinny kid, and I'm like, hey, I'm Shaun. It's nice to meet you. And he, doesn't really look at me, he shakes my hand like a limp fish, and I'm like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, why don't you tell me a bit about yourself? And he says, my name's Alex, and he goes through his spiel, and I'm like, So I ask him a couple of those, standard McDonald questions, like, what do you think your strengths are? What do you think your weaknesses are? He's not getting a good interview.
Yeah.
He's a teenage kid. Like, not many do.
Right.
But like, he was especially bad. Sorry, Alex, but it's true.
Yeah.
And I finally look at the application, and I see the name Alex Shaw. Forgive me if I use your last name,
please.
But I'm like,
it's public.
Alex Shaw. It's like, are you related to Gordon Shaw? And he's like, yeah, that's my brother. And I looked at him and I said, all right, buddy, I'm going to teach you a valuable lesson here in life, and it's going to stick with you. It's not what you know, it's who you know. All right? So I actually know your brother. We're friends, and, I'm going to tell you right now, this was not going well. But let me show you how to interview. let me show you these things. And, I hired him on, obviously, and he was actually a really good worker.
Yeah.
No,
he's solid.
Just because you don't interview well doesn't mean that you don't have a work ethic. You know what I mean? He's wasn't a people person. He seems a lot more outgoing now.
Yeah, no, he's come a long way.
Oh yeah, but that happens. We're all insecure teenagers at one time. Yeah. But that was just that always stuck in my mind because I'm like, man, this kid, like, I would have never given him a chance if I didn't know you. And and he turned out to be like one of our better grill people. And he ended up moving on from McDonald's, and thankfully, for his own sake,
he's doing pretty well.
Yeah, he is. But I always thought that like he looked up to me, and I loved that. Back to the mentor thing. I always tried to make sure that he knew that he could come to me for anything that he ever needed. So. I like mentoring people. It's actually, in the past year, it's been one of the things that's been driving me to keep afloat. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because a year ago in July was when my wife and I had the talk about separating, and that it was hard. It was hard. Never thought I would, but I started drinking excessively.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic, but I was making not good decisions.
Yeah, self-medicating.
Yeah. It was more like, okay, well, let me get all this, let me drink this beer and go have fun, and instead of taking care of my responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually remember I was at the podcast actually, and I was, forgive me for this story, guys, but I was a little bored, and so the conversation and the person who was having the conversation with me at that, or with the group at that point, was blathering on about something, and I was not in a good mood anyways. So I went to my car and got one of my car beers out. It was, and I was sitting there drinking in the driveway, and I look up and I'm, I see the teenagers looking back at me, and I'm like, oh, that is not good. And it really put a lot of things into focus in my brain. And I went up and I was like, hey, what you saw was not how you deal with problems in life. Let's hang out. And I kind of I started hanging out with the teenagers there, and instead of the adults, because that was where my heart was. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And now this group of teens, like they ask me, they always ask me questions about life or this, and I love it.
Yeah,
I love it so much. It drives me so much, to be able to be like, and I'm very open about, who I am, my past, my shortcomings, my, what my strengths, but, that's what they like. And I've had conversations with their parents even about this is who I am. I'm not going to change that, and I'm not going to, obviously I'll temper down language and, age appropriateness, and I'm never going to tell them to go do anything that I did. Don't do that, kids. But, they actually, a few of the parents were like, that's why we like you talking to our kids, man, because you're real, because you have real life experience out there, and we know that you're a good person. And, you did some stuff. Yeah, stuff happened to you, but you came out on top, and, moving forward, you want to be a good person. I'm like, wow. Well, one of them even called me their youth pastor, and I was like, I was crying. I was like, oh my God, what the heck is this? I can't be a pastor.
That's for old people.
That's for, oh my God, I'm old. Good stuff. But mentoring the young people is really important. Eventually, I actually want to become a foster parent eventually, because I've always felt that calling.
Yeah.
And there are too many teenagers in the system, because all the foster parents want the younger kids, because they're easier to deal with. There's less hassle. There's less angst. There's less drama and risk of them running away. Yeah. An 8-year-old might not run away.
And if he does, he wouldn't get very far.
He won't get very far. A 16-year-old can hide.
Yeah.
So eventually that's what I want to do in life. I want to be that foster parent for the hard teens. I feel like my kids need to be a little older, so they can understand the situation better, just in case. And
yeah, give them time to develop a sort of emotional resilience.
Yeah.
Before you drop a volatile or potentially volatile human being.
Because anything can happen. Exactly. And maybe it'll be when I'm when they're adults, maybe, but I'm gonna go back to that. The circle's gonna come full round.
Right.
So you ever notice that things are in cycles, man? Like in life.
Occasionally, yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. So I got another story. It's actually about my older brother. He's one of the best people I know now, and he wasn't always like that, because he actually left before my mom left.
Okay.
He's 2 years older than I am, and he was not leading a good life. We'll say he ran away and was involved. I heard word on the street was that he was involved with gangs. He was dealing meth. He was doing all sorts of bad things, and he eventually, long story short, got picked up. For dealing to somebody that he shouldn't have, and ended up doing jail time. And before he went to jail, actually, he said that he that's when he found God and realized that what he was doing was wrong. He was dealing, and apparently he got put into the back of a van and was told, give us all your money and all your drugs. And he said, oh, yeah, it's over here. We got to go over here. Try to run away. Well, these dudes beat the ever-living life out of him, basically, and like he said that in that moment, he, of getting beat, he, basically felt the addiction because meth, cigarettes, and beer, he was drinking heavily, wash away from him, is how he explained it. And he's like, well, this is it, I guess this is the end of life, and he said that somebody yelled, "Cops!" And they all scatter and run because they, cops come. They don't want to be involved in that. And he looks around and he doesn't see anybody. He ends up walking, miles home, and tries to wash up because he's just bloody, absolutely devastated. He tries to stop in a gas station, wash up. No, get out. So he's just, this mangled piece of meat, basically, walking home, and he ends up going to his friend's house, and his friend offers, hey, you want a beer? Nah, man, I'm good. You want to smoke? Nah, I'm good. You don't want to do anything? Nah, I'm good, man. And he said that from then on, he didn't have that need, like that addiction in him. Yeah, he ended up, going to a court date, and he told me that he thought it was for one thing, but it was for dealing to a federal agent apparently or something like that, and he ended up going to jail. And he's like, well, I did the crime, got to do the time. He ended up, from the story that he told me, he kind of ran a Bible study group ish in there, was really good, and ended up getting out and turned his life around, really. He went from never seeing his son to, ended up, getting back in contact, trying to, be in his life. He ended up getting married to a woman with 4 kids, and, now he's a dad to all of them. And then his son had a little brother from a different father, and their mom ended up getting picked up for meth in front of their school. And he calls me up. This was only a few months ago, crying, like, dude, they took Draven, they took Jackson, and, all these things that they took him, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get him, but he ends up fighting for them, becoming a foster parent for his son's little brother, and is now they're all in the home together, and that cycle. And I'm talking to him on the phone, and I'm in such awe of this man that I looked up to as a kid. Like, he's who I got, my quote unquote style from. He was always very stylish and very prim and proper. I stole his clothes. Music wise, he that's who I looked up to. So I was always listening to whatever he listened to, TV shows, everything. I looked up to this guy, and the years that we were apart were really hard for me because that was my older brother. When I heard that he was in jail, I just saw a Facebook memory today. It was an open Facebook letter that I wrote to him about how much I love him, and even though he's made mistakes, I hope he turns it around. And it was a long one, and I ended up in that it said that I wrote him a letter. I'm pretty sure I did. I don't know if I ever mailed it out. I hope that I did. I might have chickened out, but yeah, I saw that today. Surprise! He turned his life around, and he's one of the best men that I know, and he's amazing. So I'm on the phone with him when he's telling me about that he's a foster parent for this other little boy now, and he's like, well, now all I got to do to complete the cycle is become an addict again, and and say, ruin everything, right? I'm like, yeah. How about we skip that part, man? How about we break the cycle now? Huh?
We've come around. Time to stop it.
Yeah. We've gone 360. Boom, done.
Cutting it off.
Yeah. So it's just funny how how life goes in circles like that. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Can't say. I mean, I guess I feel like my life isn't eventful enough for me to have noticed a cycle yet. I don't know. It could also be that just like I'm completely oblivious because I'm just not paying attention.
Maybe.
That's pretty likely. In all honesty.
Well, all right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who really knows?
Yeah, growing up differently, like you never had to have that constant vigilance, like I always had to.
Yeah,
I had to, otherwise I wouldn't have survived. So I guess maybe I'm more hyper aware of like certain things in life, and I'm sure you're more aware of other. You're probably much cleaner than I am. I'm a mess, man. like don't look in my car.
Yeah, no, definitely try to keep a tidy car. But I don't know. It's
not my strength. I try. I clean it out, and then a week later, I'm like, what the?
Yeah, it kind of has to be like for me. It's like an aversion to disorder. And like that's something I know about myself. And so like if you know that about yourself, you know that you also have like a tendency to let things slide. So like eventually it'll get to a point where, okay, like it's just like now it's bothering me like a lot. Like it's going to get to the point if I don't, pay attention to it. So like the principle for me, like I would get into other people's cars and there's just stuff everywhere and it would like really bother me. And, like it wasn't like a cognizant, like I wasn't cognizant of it.
Yeah.
It would just be like, oh, this doesn't feel good. And so like when I had my own car, I was like, okay, anything that comes into the car goes out of the car when I leave it.
That's a good mindset to have because I don't have that.
Yeah.
See, your aversion to disorder is like when I revel in it. My life has been such disorder that but worked out stupidly well for some reason.
Yeah. You sort of thrive in chaos.
Yeah, I can't I don't make plans well.
Okay.
Like I'm more of a go with the flow kind of guy because like stuff will happen. Like we planned this and that was hard. It's hard for me.
I'm big on making plans.
I am not, man. Like I do love when plans come together.
Yeah.
Okay, I do. But the way that my life has happened, like everything lines up so well when I just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Like and I know it's a lot of luck, but like why would I make plans when I know it's just gonna work?
Like everything's worked out so far.
Oh my god!
Like making plans seems silly.
Hey,
like just wasted effort.
Yeah, it just my ex-wife did not enjoy that. So she was a very by the plan like boom type A.
Yeah, that's one of those things where like you have your. Are you familiar with Jordan Peterson?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So he'll talk about like personality types, right? And so you have your openness and then your conscientiousness, I think, are the two kind of opposite things. And so openness is associated with creativity, and conscientiousness is associated with orderliness and like productiveness. And openness is like it's creativity and like being interested in new ideas. Mm-hmm. And so like if you're really conscientious, like you need things to be like in order. And if you're like open, like artists, creative types are high in openness.
Yeah.
And so, sure. But like they're not great at like keeping things boundaries.
Yeah.
Not good.
I'm a pretty, I'm not a good musician, we'll say, but I am musically inclined.
Right.
So like that makes a lot of sense because like I like making music. I like playing. I like doing all these artsy things. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily painting. I'm a horrible drawer. I'm a horrible artist in that aspect. But like creativity wise, like my mind goes.
Yeah.
It goes really well. I can't keep my car clean to save. I can't keep my house clean to save my life. I try. I did my dishes today.
Yeah.
It's a win.
Yeah.
It's a win, man.
I feel that.
I raked my front lawn too. All right. We're good.
Yeah. So like, but it's one of those things where you have those two people and they're going to drive each other nuts because like the person who wants things to be squared away, like people who like, wait, are you saying you don't have a plan? Are you saying like you don't have structure like at all? Like what is wrong with you? And like the person who's like, super creative is like, man, this guy's like super uptight and he's always trying to put me in a box. like just leave me alone, man. I'm just trying to like do my thing.
That was a big battle between me and my ex-wife. Like, everything had a spot for her.
Yeah.
Nothing had a spot for me, man. It was all right. It's gonna go right here. But like, I always knew where I set it.
Yeah. So it's like, Mom, why did you clean my room? I know where it is.
Yeah, I knew where that was.
But now I don't know where it is.
Now it's gone. She would clean my desk, and she was a great wife.
Yeah.
I am not disparaging her whatsoever, but she would clean my desk sometimes. Where is everything?
I don't know where anything
is. Where is my life? Yeah, but she was awesome. She did a lot for me in many different ways, and I respect her so highly because of that.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. No problem. It just, we work better as friends, I guess.
Yeah.
Probably because I can't keep a house clean to save my life. No.
You know what they say? Clean house. No, that's not the saying.
That's not the saying at all.
Yeah.
Were you trying to go for a happy wife, happy life kind of deal, but like a play on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. That saying is so wrong, though, man.
You think?
Yeah, because it should be a tandem thing.
Mm-hmm.
It should be when you're both happy.
Like it's like a one-sided thing.
Yeah, it's such a one-sided thing, and and if you're only doing the thing to placate the other person, are you actually doing it for them or for yourself?
Yeah, it's kind of for the wrong. Well, I mean, for the wrong reasons, but like, if you can rationalize it that way. So, like, if your goal is, like, you need to go outside of instant gratification, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if the goal is, let's say, the marriage is more important than the two individuals in it. So, like, if you're operating on that assumption, you're going to make the necessary compromises to like, achieve this,
Oh, okay. There's a difference between compromising and sacrificing.
Yes.
So that's the key there, and that's what I think that saying is missing. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of people use that to say, yeah, I only did this to placate my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Well, placation is not fulfillment.
Right.
That's literally doing the thing that you did just to make her happy for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's not.
It's not long term.
And if it's something that's hurting you, does she know that?
Yeah.
Are you putting that out there that, okay, I will do this thing for you, but this is how it's making me feel. It's got to be both ways. You know what I mean? And if she's sacrificing stuff for you, she should say that too. And you guys should really communicate. That's a big thing that happened. With my marriage, communication was not there.
Yeah.
I was so afraid to say anything, and she was so afraid to say anything because we both thought that we'd lose the other, that we ended up losing each other.
Yeah.
Because we didn't say anything.
Right.
Like if you sacrifice enough of yourself, is there any of you left?
Mm-hmm.
So anybody in a young marriage, like that's my advice to you, man.
You need to have the hard conversations.
You have to have
them early and often.
And go into it with we're gonna work this through. This is where I am,
mm-hmm.
and then listen to where they are, and then come together and say, this is where we are.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because if you don't, it just boils under the surface, and then there's tension, and then there's resentment.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
There's like explosions.
Yeah.
Sirens going off in the distance. And
it might not even get there. It might just break.
Yeah.
It might just implode on itself then.
Right.
Under the weight of its own sadness.
Huh.
Yep. I know. We got deep.
Surprisingly, not the deepest we've gotten on this podcast.
Interesting.
Last podcast was with pretty early on in our friendship. But I'm going to call him friend, Mike Corkery. And we talk about the meaning of life.
There you go.
Talk about some philosophy, some history. Talk about like society and like how people are kind of disconnected.
Yeah.
Lack of
smartphone thing.
Lack of community and all that sort of thing.
We're so interconnected with this thing that we're disconnected. It's horrible. Like Facebook is amazing, but are you really having good, good solid relationships with people, in real life?
Yeah, I think social media is good for starting relationships and maintaining relationships with people who are like proximately distant. But it's not. I mean, we keep coming back to this thing of like don't have important conversations over the internet. Like I know for sure that I sound like a broken record because I tell it to everybody, but like don't argue on the internet. You're not going to accomplish anything.
No.
It's worse for you. It's worse for them.
It's because there's no personal connection there.
Right.
So you don't. This person is a screen to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you can rip into them all you want. And I've done this.
Yeah.
And I feel, I feel horrible. I've done this to people. It's like, well, what do I care about their feelings? They're not here.
Yeah.
It's like, oh wait.
I don't have to see the ramifications of the words that I said to them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was on MySpace back in the day, and it's like that place. Some of the things that were said there were not fun. Yeah, were not nice. And I was on all sorts of like message boards. And it's like I was an angsty teenager, so it's like I said things that I would never say now. Now that my prefrontal cortex is fully developed, but it's like so I wouldn't say don't have important conversations on the internet because there are opinions out there that need to be heard. Okay, but definitely don't just assume that you're always right.
Right.
And go in there respectfully. If you're calling people an asshole, like you're not gonna win them over.
Right.
You know what I mean? If they think that you're disparaging their intelligence, even if you're not, like if they think it, they're automatically gonna discount anything you have to say. So have those important conversations, I'd say, but also have them in person. Have them here. Like don't just go for the validation of likes.
Yeah.
Because that's an addiction too. You ever heard that, man?
The dopamine.
The dopamine kick. Oh man, dopamine's amazing.
It's nice to have, but that addiction though.
Yeah. I looked down at my phone just now, and I'm like,
gotta look for notifications.
Yeah. I saw people shared and liked my statuses. Yeah. That was bad. I shouldn't have looked.
Well, I mean, it's we're kind of stuck in a cycle in that regard where, like, unless you really kind of take a step back from it, like in a major way, I think, like you would almost have to go on like a social media fast.
Yeah.
In a way, to kind of like get out of the. I mean, like it's a literal addiction. So you have to, go through the withdrawals and really try to come out the other side and like stay away from it if you have to, or moderate it as best you can.
I don't know if it's just an iPhone thing, but have you seen like that they do the screen time like daily and weekly, like they show you
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because like I can see, yesterday I spent way too much time on screen on Facebook, and they break it down by apps and they break it down by like time and okay,
that's where all my time's gone.
Yeah. So I think that's maybe them trying to placate the the people who are disparaging their product.
People are like actually concerned about like the effect that it's having, especially on kids.
Oh, kids! It's my kids really like their electronics, and I try to moderate it as much as possible. But like, it's like so easy.
Yeah.
So easy. It's like I'm sitting there cleaning the kitchen today. I'm doing my dishes and stuff, and Jane, my daughter. Jaina. I already said her name, so I don't know why I was scared too. Like dumb. I said she was named after a Star Wars character. There's no going back. My son was also supposed to be named after a Star Wars character, but that didn't happen. So she 86 that idea. She it was supposed to be Jason.
Oh, naturally.
Yeah. Obviously, Jaina's brother.
I would have been so happy if that had been the case.
Oh my god, I was so excited for that. And but she's like, oh wow, she was on board for like a minute, and she's like, where'd you hear that name? I'm like, ooh, I don't want to tell you. She's like, well, now you have to.
Yeah.
And so I told her, I was like, it's a Star Wars character. It's Han Solo's son,
We're gonna spell it with a C.
Yeah, we're
gonna
Jacen, baby. And she looks at me and she's like, absolutely not. I'm not naming my kid after a Star Wars character. He'll get made fun of in school. And I looked at her and I was like, anybody who knows who Jacen Solo is will think he's amazing. And anybody who doesn't know who he is will be like, okay, this kid just spells his name weird.
Yeah.
Okay. but back to the addiction thing. Like, I could see that they really like their electronics, and it's scary because it's like, you have to say no. You have to set those boundaries.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's tricky, man. Shoot. I don't envy anyone trying to raise. That's not right. I don't envy anyone trying to navigate the difficulties of a connected society in terms of their children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like obviously there's a lot of really wonderful things about having kids, but like that aspect of it.
You just have to cultivate the empathy early.
Yeah.
Is what you have to do. Like my son is one of the most empathetic people ever, and it's hard sometimes because he's too empathetic sometimes. And it gets to him. It's hard, and I can tell that it gets to him because he feels so heavily for people, and I'm like, buddy, you can't take that on. You're 11.
Yeah.
Like you can't that me having a dirty house is not your responsibility. Okay, it's okay. Just calm down. It's fine.
Gotta practice some detachment. And
just a little. Like I don't want you detached fully.
Absolutely.
But you also can't, want to save the world right now. You should learn how to be yourself first.
Right. Or like you can want to save the world. Like and saving if saving the world is the end goal, like that's fine. But the first step is, like way back here. Like that is not you can't go 0 to 100 immediately.
If it's detrimental to yourself.
Right, exactly.
You can't do it, especially at 11.
Yeah.
It's like my daughter's a little not as empathetic. She's she's 7, so she's a little more self-centered.
Okay.
She gets a wicked one-track mind, though.
Really?
Wicked one. If she gets an idea in her head, man, it's that or nothing, and she's locked on for days. Like just yesterday, I brought them to the aquarium down in Connecticut. My friend lives down there.
Yeah.
And so she invited us to the Mystic Aquarium, is what it's called, and we went, and she saw ice cream, like Dippin' Dots or whatever they call it down there.
Yeah.
And it's $5 for this little thing, and I'm like, Jaina, we can get ice cream anywhere else later.
Yeah,
it's fine, but
we can get this much ice cream.
Yeah. And she was locked on, man, and it was a struggle for that whole day, and even she ended up not getting ice cream because her behavior was not good.
Yeah.
But even just today, Daddy, I didn't get ice cream yesterday. Do I get ice cream today? No. No, you don't.
Maybe if you behave yourself.
Yeah. And I'm not like, should be more health conscious about what she's consuming. And I try to be, but, it's nice being able to go, let's have some ice cream. Because obviously,
Daddy wants some ice cream too.
Yeah.
Let's go do that.
What a good excuse to go get ice cream. That's why I have children.
Ice cream and cartoons, guys.
Yeah. Yep. That's why. That's why you have kids.
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Life, huh?
It's wild.
It is. And it's going to get better from here. I know it.
Yeah.
Like, I just feel it, man. I'm looking into, different endeavors in life as well. And like trying different things. Like, kind of want to try like public speaking, like motivational speaking.
All right.
I don't know how I'm going to start it yet, but I feel like Instagram is the way to go right now.
Okay. Just record yourself, say a little something.
Yeah.
Like, hey,
get
feeling
little,
down.
Just
exactly. Remember.
Yeah, because sometimes people need to hear certain things. And I don't want to go with the cheesy crap that they put out there all the time. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can do anything you set your mind to. Well, guess what? There are limitations in life.
Yeah.
But you need to learn your limitations, and then work to exceed them if that's what your goal is. It's so much more complex than you can do it. It's just, it is. Life is complex.
It's one of those things where, like, I'm not great at following my own advice, but I like to give advice.
What?
Yeah. So, but like, there are certain things that you can have if, like, you just have to set a goal, figure out like what you need to do to accomplish it, and then like figure out the steps. First step, go after it.
Yeah.
But like, you got to know it's going to take time. It's going to take effort. Some sacrifice is required, whether it's time, money, not being able to do the thing you want to do right away, knowing that you have something that you're working towards, and just knowing that when you hit a milestone, that's great, but you can't rest.
Nope.
Like, you gotta, the next one's always ahead of you.
That's that was the idea behind like what made me want to do motivational speaking, because I want to drive myself too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like I get to a certain spot in life, and it seems like I self-destruct myself sometimes.
Okay.
And not like in a drug or alcohol way. Like, I don't have that. But in a like, okay, well, I'm getting up there, and this is usually about the time that everybody, that people leave me. That in my life, it's, it cycles.
Yeah.
And this is about the time that everybody leaves. So I want to get past that. I want to climb more of that, more uphill. And I think if I drove myself to drive other people, it would actually keep me on track to be better. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I love helping people. That's like what fulfills me.
Right.
Is helping other people. And if that's what it takes to bring me to the next level, is to help other people, then I'm going to. You know what I mean? And maybe this endeavor won't work out. But I know that I'll try another one helping other people too. You know what I mean? And we'll see how it goes. I talked to Lindsay. That was the thing that I asked Lindsay to pray about this morning, actually.
Yeah.
Like, and she said that she, her and I are going to get together relatively soon, and she has a few tools that she can, ers and ahs that she can help me with. So we'll see how that goes.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah.
So that's the plan.
That's the dream right now. Yeah, I had a dream for a long time to like run for public office and stuff, but the way that society is nowadays, I don't know if I want my kids on blast. I don't know if I want like
it's a little easier if you don't have a family.
Yeah, I'm sure it's still hard, but kids were off limits for the longest time.
Yeah.
But now you see, politicians going after each other's kids, and it's like, yo, guys, just chill. We don't need to, like, most of America's here.
Yeah.
We're all cool. Like we like each other. We're all Americans. And then there's these assholes on the left, and there's these assholes on the right, and there's these assholes
constantly fighting.
Yeah, it's like, come on. Most of us are in the middle.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
We can get along.
Yeah. And
if we just talk to each other in person.
Yeah. In person. That's the thing, man. Yeah, there are people that don't care about other people's, feelings and stuff in person too. But most people, if you're having a civil conversation, will more than likely be like, okay, well, I disagree with that, and that's okay.
Yeah.
and sometimes you have to leave it at that. You know, there are a lot of issues in the country that people just are so divided on. You know, sometimes you just have to leave it at that and say, okay, well, I still love you.
Yeah.
You know, I say love a lot. I still like you. We're both Americans. You know, but we can agree to disagree, and that's what our country is founded on.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But then we also have to recognize when, see that's it always comes down to whether or not it's something that you can agree or disagree on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like it's like there's agree and disagree, and then there's like right and wrong, and we have to kind of like reconcile the two.
Oh, for sure.
You know?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you know, there's definitely wrongs that happen in the country.
Yeah, and
there are,
and it's something that like it can't just be about the party line. You know, like it's like we can't blindly support the people just because they're, you know, quote unquote on our side. You know,
true.
Or like automatically oppose people who are on the other side of the aisle. It's one of those things. Like there's this phrase that keeps popping into my head, and it's like it has to do with the military. It's like support our troops, but undermine the government. Like, you feel me?
Yep.
Like I feel like that's kind of where we're at, because like, you know, our soldiers deserve.
Yeah. I mean, they're making, some of them make the ultimate sacrifice, but they're sacrificing a lot,
and they may
to bring us, you know, to protect our freedoms. But also, the government is shady.
Yeah, the government is shady, and they might choose to, what's the word for it? Misappropriate the sacrifices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, and that does happen. That's happened over the course of our entire history.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? There have been wrongs that the government have put on for hundreds of years now, that the governments have put on for thousands of years now.
Yeah,
you know,
since there were governments.
Yeah, that's the biggest wrong that we've had. Governments exist.
Should just go back to like individual families that murder each other for land.
What? all right. Maybe we can't go that anarchistic, you know. No, I'm pretty libertarian in most things, you know. Like, I don't think that the federal government should be involved in much. Anything. You know,
like national defense and foreign policy,
interstate commerce, what it says in the Constitution.
Exactly.
You know, it's like you know, the state governments are there for a reason as well. Mm-hmm. You know, the power is shifting from state to the federal level for some reason.
Yeah.
Some godforsaken reason.
And it's one of those things where I was talking to my friend Dave, who was also on the podcast. We were talking about government, interestingly enough, and like he was saying that it would be really nice if, you know, we did take a step down and was like, okay, basically anything important happens at the state level, and then if you don't like the way, like if you don't like the laws of one state, there's another state that you know perfectly fits. Like you'll be perfectly comfortable there, and we can just agree to live in those places.
I mean, one of the big debates right now is legalizing weed.
Right.
You know, some states do, some states don't. Like, what's the problem with that?
Yeah, like, you know? But we don't need a federal. No, like we don't need the federal government getting in on that.
No, we don't need the federal government getting in on much.
Yeah,
much of anything, because it's so inefficient.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
which I think is by design. So they can't monkey with stuff too easily.
It should be by design, but eventually they you know allocated so much money to the federal level and got this bloated government that it's just this big blob of take your money and you get inefficient crap.
You don't get what you need.
Yeah, you know, and it turns out some okay stuff too. You know, some.
Yeah.
Not much. Not much, man. And like I understand the need for like Social Security and Medicare. There are people, Medicaid, you know, people some people can't afford stuff.
Right.
Okay. We should want to help them up. You know, old people. We should want to take care of them. They've, you know, put into the put in, tax-wise and stuff, we should want to help the people who can't work anymore.
But the thing is, if we paid the government less and focused more on community,
that's
like we would have more money to take care of.
So we wouldn't have to pay the middleman.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's like this whole thing with like online retailers now.
I was just gonna say that with Amazon.
Well, here's the thing:
it's killing them.
So I'm gonna use like a watch company, Movement Watches.
Okay.
They sponsor like a bunch of podcasts, and they sell watches for they sell really high quality watches, like $400 or $500, $400 or $500 watches.
I've definitely heard the ads on. I think Ben Shapiro.
That would make
Movement
sense.
Watches.
But they're selling them for $90, $150 because they cut out 100% of the middleman stuff.
Yep.
They basically ship it and that's it. And so there's so much more to go around if we're not transferring money constantly.
Yeah.
No,
it's true. I mean,
but it has to be a both thing. It can't just be, we're just going to give less money to the government. No, it has to be we're giving less money to the government and we're spreading it within our own communities.
Yeah. Efficiency.
Exactly.
That's the key. Federal government spends $80 on a hammer. It's a problem.
Definitely a problem.
Yeah, and then federal government problems like cronyism is a big thing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Full circle.
Cyclical, baby. See? And that kind of cronyism permeates our government.
Yeah.
It's like the best federal contracts don't go to the person who's going to do the job. Quality for the least amount of money. The most efficient. It goes to their friends. Who do I owe a favor to? Who do I want to owe me a favor?
Right.
And that's
who funded my campaign?
Who funded my campaign? Yeah, exactly. It shouldn't be like that.
No. It's one of those things where going back to my conversation with my friend Dave, we were talking about government, and he was like, if you could change one thing about the government, what would it be? And I was like, I don't know, maybe term limits for congressmen, so they don't have time. Not only do they not have time to get super entrenched in their positions, but they're also not concerned with getting reelected. So they're not concerned with pandering to vocal minorities on either side. I can understand an argument against that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the reason why the founders didn't put a term limits in there is because the people should be able to choose the same person over and over again if they want. There's that freedom aspect there.
Mm-hmm. Because they don't have individual power as much as So they. When did term limits for presidency get instituted?
That was after one of the Roosevelts. It was FDR, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah,
might have been.
It was one of the Roosevelts, but he got elected 4 times. It's like, hey.
I thought that was Franklin who got elected 3 times.
Yeah, FDR.
Yeah.
sorry, Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
No, sorry, I was thinking Teddy. Never mind. So I think Washington set a precedent for 2.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't
basically
enshrined.
said, he basically said I'm not putting myself up for re-election because we don't want a king.
Right. The whole point was no king.
Exactly. What a decent guy. I'm sure he had his
stand-up dude.
I'm sure he had his faults too.
Oh yes, people love to point that out.
We all have our faults.
I mean, I'm glad we solved the world's problems, Shaun.
Yes,
but I really appreciate you coming on.
I love you, Gordon. You're awesome, man. I hope that we can get together soon, even if there's no microphone.
Sounds good. We'll have to do that.
Bye, world.
Have a good night, everybody.